gone? Just saw my next imaginary tattoo that I'm going to get on my thorn on my side. Look at Asa like, girl. But through it all, it is well. Just like, it is well. It is well. Different perspective. Well, y'all get me this morning, and I'm not going to be long. I just have just a few things I just want to say. I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about love. Can I do that? And I'm coming straight out of 1 Corinthians 13. When Amy was up here, I want to kind of just give y'all a glimpse. I can't speak for the rest of the staff and what the staff sees by what goes on up here, but I want to just give you a small glimpse of what transpires spiritually when we have this altar call. Now, this is not an altar call like you would go to another church and see. This is at the end of the service and they come. We tell them this is open at all times. This is an altar, but guess what it also is? Is a trash dump. Because we keep walking around with stuff that is not profitable for us. It is hindering us. It is weighing us down. That's why when the girls come into the program, they're literally hunched over in the very beginning. They can't even lift their head sometimes because of the weight of the shame and the embarrassment and the humility of what just happened to them. Now, yes, I know what some of y'all think, well, they probably deserved it. Probably 0.5% did. But the other 99.9999999 didn't. Because we don't choose bad decisions choose us. I don't wake up in the morning and think, how can I be on crack by the end of the day? And neither do you. I don't wake up in the morning and think, how can I do something to have to put myself in a situation where I have to prostitute myself out in order to survive? And I'm not even talking about drugs. I'm talking about just getting your lights paid where you and your kids aren't living in a car or in a box on the side of a street. See, that's where some of them have been. So it's interesting. I'll have some church folks ask me, how can you love them? How can you hug them? How can you let your kids around them? And I'll say the same thing every time, because I am them. I just didn't get caught. I just wasn't living on the side of the street. We're all them. The intention was never to live like that. The intention was to live a successful life. But life happened. Anybody know life happens sometimes? And it just takes you over. So it's easy to sit back in that glass house that we all live in sometimes and throw those stones. But you got to be careful. You may need to go get some Windex and clean your own glass house before you start hitting somebody else with those pebbles, right? Can I get an amen on that? I want to go to 1 Corinthians if I can find it. Because I completely just changed every single thing that I didn't change it. Like, we're going to do something different. I said, all right. I want to tell you about Amy, what just happened up here. I'm not going to get into specifics, Amy, because I'm not going to do that. But I just want to tell from a perspective of what we saw. Amy was in battle up here. It didn't look like battle. It didn't sound like battle. But she was in a war, fighting for her very life down here. We've all seen it for a few weeks. Seen the transformation that she's so desperately trying to seek through Christ. And what happened up here, I'm going to give you a visual. So I want you just to close your eyes. I want you to visualize this. Amy was on a field, and I could hear her running, and it was coming out as a cry to me. And so I immediately went to her, and what was so amazing is, that's why I love this staff of Jacob's Well. They heard it too, and they came running. And so as I placed my hands on her, and Bosch placed her hands on her, and Julie placed their hands on her, and other residents placed their hands on her, I could see her running for freedom. I could see her running towards the light. I could see her running towards something different, wanting to be something different. But then all of a sudden, I kept seeing her looking back at the things that were labeling her and calling her who she was, mocking her. Then the pain started even worse because she started believing what those mocking voices were saying. And the run started slowing down to a jog. And the jog started slowing down to a slow walk. And she was almost about to stand still. And I know at that point when she stood still, she was turning back around and going back to them. And so I said, lift your hands in praise. Lift your hands. And when she began to lift her hands, even though she had no strength, I saw her pick up her pace again. I saw her begin to jog. I saw her begin to run towards him, the only man that could set her free, and that's Christ. Father, thank you for this beautiful daughter. Thank you, God, that today she believed you over them. Today, God, she declared that though none go with her, she is still going to follow you. Lord, I thank you for her tenacity. I thank you for her courage. I thank you for her bravery. I thank you that we got to witness that today. Lord, help her see today that she doesn't have to be it before they can see it, because she is it. And let her walk in that deliverance that you set her free from today. Lord, I love you and I thank you. It's in Jesus' name. All God's people said, amen. And so when those things happen, because we're in there, and depending on the fight down there, you get up from that and you feel like you've just been in a boxing ring for about 30 minutes. And it kind of takes me a minute. I have to get up. I'm a big girl, but I don't smoke, but I do eat some Pop-Tarts occasionally. But you get up from a war like that, you got to catch your breath. You got to be like, oh, dang, did that just happen? Is that for real? But then you see the fruits of it. And you see the radiant light on her. And you know it was worth it. And ladies, I want y'all to know today it's worth it. I want you to know not only that it's worth it, but you're worth it. No matter what they said about you. It's worth it. This morning I want to talk to you about love. I saw a sentence this morning and it completely rocked my world. And it said this: love makes your soul crawl out of hiding. And when I saw it, Cindy Trim said it, when I saw it, it pierced me. Because I believe in love. I believe love. I believe you can't outlove somebody. I believe it's easy to tell everybody what they're doing wrong. It's the harder thing to be able to go give them a hug when you really want to punch them. You know how sometimes you'll be talking to somebody and you think in your head, is this person worth getting a misdemeanor or a felony? Because I'm about to knock them out. Have you ever thought that way? Do you know I'm 43 years old and I've never hit anybody in my life? That's pretty cool, isn't it? The girls don't believe me, but that's really true. But let me just tell you something. Since I've been doing this, there are days that I really go, And if they sold conditioner in jail commissary, I would be there probably. But they don't. And that's what stops me from going to jail every time. Y'all will have to smuggle me some some conditioner in if I go to jail. But it was talking about love, and it wasn't just any love. So I as the Lord was speaking to me, as I read this sentence, I could picture a shriveled, just emaciated soul who just desperately wanted to be touched. And see, what was so amazing about that is when I saw her today. This is why God has appointments for us, y'all. He's got divine appointments for us. And today was her divine appointment, but it was really for me, but it was going to overflow into her. Because that day when I said that to her, and she just looked at me and said, "Can you tell my husband that?" I knew what she meant because I was in a marriage like that, where it was just, or a life like that, where everybody would look at me and think I was okay. But I was dying on the inside. Have you ever been surrounded by people, but you're so lonely? And so I connected with her immediately. I didn't even know her, but we immediately connected. And so what happened when I saw that day was her soul crawling out of the hiding place. because she was shown love. And that's what I want to talk to you about this morning is what kind of love causes the soul to crawl out. Now, there is only one kind of love that comes from the love we're going to talk about today, and that's Christ's love. If you are not a Christian and you do not have the Lord in your heart, I highly recommend it. I recommend it more than the Jacob's Well chocolate cake over there. See, we water down love nowadays. We love chocolate chip cookies. We love a TV show. We love our dog. We love that place. We love that shirt. I love your hair. We water it down. That's not the kind of love that covers a multitude. This is the kind of love that covers a multitude. And I want us to read it first, and then we're going to go through it. If I speak, this is 1 Corinthians 13:1. If I speak in the tongues of men and angels, but I have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge, and I have faith that can move mountains, but I have not love, then I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames, but I have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy and it does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong, and love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. This is my favorite. Love always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. And it always perseveres. Love never fails. Can I get an amen on that? I want to go back to the beginning of it just a minute where it talks about if I speak with tongues. Now, many of us have been around people who know the word, who know church, the religious folks. You know what I'm talking about? They talk so eloquently and just so beautifully, and they can quote these scriptures like you've never seen before. But it's almost like there's something missing from it when you hear them talking. You're kind of like, well, it looks beautiful and it sounds beautiful, but there's no salt in it. There's no flavor. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That's what he's talking about here. I can do this on a daily basis and serve these women every single day, but if I do not love them, then I'm actually hurting them more than helping them. If you take your vacation and you go and work in the mission fields, but you don't have love, you are hurting those people more than helping those people because you're just doing a job. It's just a job. It's not a calling. It goes down to talking about being a resounding gong or a cymbal, a clanging cymbal at that. The people who are prophetic, you see they're prophetic, you see they have a gift from God, but they have no love and no mercy. It makes their words come out void. And y'all know what I'm talking about. If you surrender everything, but you have not love, you are nothing, it says. Now, the last time I knew what nothing was, nothing meant void. It meant nothing. And so, because Jeremiah 1 tells me that I am something, and why does it tell me something? It tells me I'm something because it says He formed me. He knew me. He put me in my mother's womb, and He set me apart. Now, if He set me apart, that meant He had something He needed me to do. If He needed somebody else to do it, He would have made them. So, ladies, let me tell you this first and foremost. Your relationship with Christ determines everything. Because you have to have it, or you're going to be a dead woman walking. Men, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, you're a dead man walking. You may look good, but you're still a dead person walking. The second power that Christ comes with, because He comes with two powers, the power to save us and then the power to transform us. That's what I was seeing this morning. See, she had a decision to make this morning. Heaven and hell was not an issue for Amy anymore. She'd already accepted Christ. She got the get out of hell free card for $500. That was done. But this was about the transforming power. He was at the edge of the field waiting on her. And he saw her running. And he waited. She had the choice to make, to run to him or to run from him. At a point, she had to make a decision to listen to them or to listen to him. That's where you are. She decided to run to him instead of from him. I made a bold comment a couple of weeks ago, and I asked who were runners in the house. Do we have any runners in the house? We got 4 runners in the house. All y'all line in the house of the Lord, because I know us, we're human, we're all runners. So let me try that again. Do we have any runners in the house? That when the going gets tough, the tough usually wants to check out. Now, you may not move logistically. Now, we moved. My dad was a literal runner, and so by the time I was 18 years old, we had moved 21 different times. Yeah, try to make A's and B's with that. Try to make friends with that. We had moved 21 different times by the time I was 18 years old. I think Asa, it was like 24 times because he was younger than me. But he was everywhere he moved, guess what happened? His addiction came with him. His intentions that was a new place and a new thing, but it always came with him. There are some people who are runners in their own mind. You may stay where you are. You may have lived in the same house your whole entire life. But you check out in your mind. You check out with alcohol, with drugs, with relationships, whatever it is that can make you escape. So I need y'all to see the difference there. And so that power to transform comes. It says, look, I know you want to run, but I just need you to sit still. Because I'm going to put you on a gurney and roll you into surgery. And I'm going to do some healing things on you. It happened this week with some girls. So the thing about love, Christ's love, is different than the world's love. There's 3 different loves. There's agape love, which is Christ's love. There's phileo love, which is a friendship love. And then there's a eros love, which is a sexual love, a desire kind of a love. And God's made all of them, but the one that covers them all is agape love. Agape love is the only thing that can do the things we just described, which is be patient. Now, one thing about if you start praying for patience, he's going to test you in that. Right? Tammy, Cleavon. He'll test you in that area because that's what, if you want to be a specialist in something, you're going to get tested on the course, right? So he'll test you in that. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. See, when we get into phileo love or eros love, I've never been a jealous person. I just don't have that in me to be a jealous person. Is there jealous people in the house who have that tendency to be jealous? Asa, one person raised their hand up in here. This is not on camera, so y'all are good. Do we have people who have a tendency to have the green-eyed monster show up every now and then? Okay. I lost that gene. Now, if it was going to rear up every once in a while, it's reared up just over the past, the older I get. I don't know why I'm trying to get that sucker down, but because this is my mentality is if they can leave, let them leave. If something can walk out of your life, then it was not meant to stay in your life. There are seasonal people that come in and out of our lives. There's leaf people, there's branch people, and there's root people. You know that? The leaf people are there to teach us a lesson. It could be a good lesson or it could be a bad lesson. But it is a lesson nonetheless. Have we ever had any leaf people come and teach us a little something, something? Those are seasonal people. The problem with seasonal people is sometimes we take seasonal people and we place lifetime expectations on them. So they were only supposed to come in our life for a short season, but because we got into Phileo and Eros, we made those seasonal people lifetime people. And that's why there's no peace in our home. That's why there's no time of refreshment. That's why it's always chaos and confusion. Is because those were seasonal people. Then you have the branch people. And the branch people can fool you, so you have to be careful. The branch people is you think they're strong and you think they can handle whatever you got going on. And you start walking out on them. And what happens? Walking out on the branch and it breaks. Be very careful with those. And then the last people are called root people. Now, you're not going to have many root people in your life. I can remember my grandmother telling me this. My grandmother said, Susan, you're not going to have many friends. So funny. I look back now at my grandmother's wisdom, at the things that she would told me, and she was giving me the answers to all my tests. I just wish I would have taken better notes. But she said, Susan, you, my dear, are not going to have many friends. Oh, you're going to have a lot of fair-weathered friends. You're going to have a lot of friends who are there when the sun is shining and the table's full and life is good. But when that rain starts coming and the storms start coming in, everybody's going to walk away. And so depend on those root people. So root people are about, if you have 5, you need to count it all joy. Now I want to break that down just one more area. So you've got the leaf people, you've got the branches, and then you have the root people. Now root people are walking in when everybody else walks out. This is where we get confused as women who are hurting. We desperately want people to be our root people, but they were not made to be a root person. So they may look like the root people, but they're not. And so I'll ask as you start graduating, Christina Manuel, the ones that just graduated, I'll say, who are you going to hang around and who's going to be your accountability people when you leave? And they'll start naming names. Oh, Sarah and Aunt Jane and da-da-da. And I'll say, okay, what did they do while you were in this program? And you'll just see this dead look come on their face. Well, what do you mean? Well, did they come on Sundays to see you? Did they write you? Did they encourage you? Did they bring you stuff that you may need? Oh, no, I haven't heard from them in 6 months. Oh. Well, that's a sure sign answer that is not a root person. Because a root person is always walking in when you're walking out. Do y'all understand that part? The second thing is, every person that comes in your life will tell you why they're coming in your life if you just listen. Because when people will show you every day of what their intentions are for you. So a lot of times we do this thing at Jacob's Well called a relationship autopsy. I don't think I've taught this group yet. It's coming. Where you just ask a lot of questions, and normally when you ask a lot of questions, you really get all the answers that you need. And then you can make a conscious decision on what you want to do. One of our graduates, this just happened to her. She got into a relationship. She did the relationship autopsy, got the answers she needed, and said, this is not somebody I'm going to build houses with, so I need to move on. I said, okay. Well, then I saw they were still dating on Facebook. So she came in the processing center, which was a big mistake. Don't come where I'm going to be if you don't want me to ask the question. So I said, hey, I noticed you were dating so-and-so. And I'm just asking because you said out of your own mouth, I've not met him, I don't know, that you knew that person was not for you. And she was like, oh, well, I know, but he just looks so good. He's just so nice. And, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Anybody ever given anybody the benefit of the doubt? How'd that work out for us? Benefit of the doubt is not a good thing. Because doubt is one of Satan's 5-point plans. To make you doubt. So I just looked at her. I said, okay. I just was quiet. I said, okay. I said, well, just remember, when he shows you who you are, when he shows you who he is, believe him. Because he told you who he was, and that didn't do anything. So now I'm just going to pray. She's like, Susan, don't be praying that. Well, I'm praying it. I'm praying it, girl. I'm praying it. I said, I'm going to pray that when he shows you who he is, you will believe him. So she calls me up Thursday. Hey. I said, hey, what you doing? She's like, I'm heading to court. I said, oh, you heading to court? I said, oh, you by yourself? And she's like, yeah, because she told me that, he was going to stand by her and be there. I said, oh, you got your boo thing with you? And she said, no. I said, well, what you mean? And she said, well, he said he was going to sleep late. I said, on a Thursday? That means he don't have a job? So she had left that part out. They didn't have a job. I said, so he doesn't have a job and he's not going to go to court with you to stand by you? She's like, yeah. I said, it sounds like somebody just got shown who he was. And so then that night she put on Facebook, thank you, friends and families, for standing beside me during all my time. But she believed it, because if she'd have kept going, he would have told her who she was. She just didn't believe him. So we get into these relationships like that. So there's two people that are going to come into your life now. When they come into your life, and you have to decide, are they adding to you or are they taking away from you? Are they going to be armor bearers? Now, an armor bearer is someone who is there and has your back, but they will tell you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. You have friends like that? Who you'll put something on and they'll be like, one friend will be like, girl, that looks cute on you. You look so cute. And then the other friend, who's your real friend, she'll be like, girl, just because they made it in your size does not mean you need to wear it. Guys don't understand that. Girls get it. You know what I'm talking about? Or they'll tell you the truth about a relationship. See, I would rather somebody come slap me with the ugly truth than kiss me with a beautiful lie. Any day. And so you're going to have the armor bearers who are going to lift you up and add to you. But then you're going to have the pall bearers. And those are the ones, they look good. They sound good. But they're actually helping you pick your casket, the covering in your casket. If you're going to wear gloves or not wear gloves while you're in the casket, where your plot's going to be. That's their job. It's disguised as other things, but that's the job. And so we have to go back to the foundation of what love is. Love cannot be phileo, which is a friendship love, because friendship's based on emotion. And it can't be based on eros, which is a sexual love, because our things change, especially women. We change on a daily basis because our bodies change, and men do too. They just don't like to admit it, like women do. How do I know that women's bodies change the older they get? Because it talks about Sarah. In the beginning of Sarah's life, she was what? The most beautiful woman. It even said that when she was in her 60s, kings wanted her as their wives because of her beauty and the radiance that came off of her. But then in her later life, when the angels came and visited, and they told her that she was going to be pregnant a year later and have a baby, it said she was old. But they not only just said old, they said she was old and waxed. Now, I say this all the time. I don't know what waxed looks like, but I swear I hope they have a cream for it by the time I get to that point. Can I get an amen from the old and waxed people in the house? Okay? Deanna, I'm going to get you to help me on that one. Okay? So we go into the agape love. That's the love that is going to cause that soul to come out of its hiding place. It is patient. It is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices with the truth. Listen, nobody in here, families, not one woman in here can go change their past. There's nobody in my life that can change their past. And that's why whenever I make a decision to go with someone, I have to decide, am I okay with that? Can I still deal with that? And there are some days I feel very confident. There are some days that I don't feel that confident, but I still have to have the decision I made that I can handle this thing and I can move forward with it. That's where you have to be. What breaks my heart is when families and friends come in and start supporting these ladies, and then the second they get out there and make a mistake, they start throwing their past at them. You whore, you crap. And then they call me broken with that. Because that person can't change that. That person can't do anything about that. And a lot of them are like me. I don't know that there's anything in my past that I would go change at this point, because it made me who I am today, and I like who I am today. So every single thing that happened, good, bad, or ugly, made me me. And you'll get like that. You'll get to a point. Right now, you're not at that point. You want to go back and change those things. And that's where the struggle is because in your mind, you're trying to push your reality and make it like it's not your reality, and it is your reality. You are here at Jacob's Well. There is a reason you are here at Jacob's Well. You are not here just because you want to take a 6-month sabbatical from your life. You are here because the circumstances of your life brought you here. Now, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to humble yourself and say, you know what? I thought I had it all. I thought I had me. My motto was watch me do me. But that didn't work for me. So I don't know these people over here. They sound funny. They talk funny. They clap a lot. But I'm going to trust them. And watch what happens in your life. It'll change everything. The last thing is this about protection. Love always protects. Now, I was told a story one time, and I thought it was one of the most beautiful things because I'd read this story the majority of my Christian life. I didn't become a Christian until I was 25 years old. The only time the Lord's name was used in our house was in vain or the butt of a joke. And so when I became a Christian at 25 years old, I didn't know who Noah was. I didn't know that he built an ark. I didn't know who Jonah was. I didn't know that he was swallowed by a whale. I knew nothing. And so I would take my 2-year-old daughter, Amy Lee's Bible, and as I was reading it to her at night, I would just read it. And I could remember it had the most beautiful, just colored pictures, and I could see David slaying the giant. And I could see Jonah sitting in the whale for those days. And I could visualize in my head what was taking place. And it was one of the most amazing times in my life because everything was fresh and new, and I just believed everything he told me to believe. And I did everything that he told me to do. And as I grew up in the Lord, everything began to change. And so one thing that I did is I became very transparent and vulnerable with people. We do that sometimes, where you feel like you just want to hand somebody your secrets or tell somebody something because in your mind you think, well, that will release me and it'll make me feel better and I'll be transparent. Maybe I can help this person with my things. I didn't realize that that's good to do, but you have to be careful who you do that with because not everybody is on your team. Not everybody is for you, and not everybody wants you to get well. Sometimes it's easier when you're just the drug addict that they're having to save constantly. Did you know that? You ever had people in your life like that? And so I was told this beautiful picture by this wonderful woman, and she was given the story of Noah. Now, you would think as soon as I say Noah that I'm going to talk about building the ark, but I'm not telling her to tell that story. I'm going to talk about Noah doing something that some of y'all may not even know if you haven't really read in the Bible, but one night he got tore up from the floor up. It says he was drunk with wine. He was so drunk that at some point during the night, he took all his clothes off and was butt naked. Now, I know, I'm not going to ask y'all to raise y'all's hand because I know nobody in this place has ever been tore up that much that you did that. So I will not ask you to raise your hands. But he was so tore up that he literally was naked and passed out in the cave. And it says that his son, one of his sons, came up to the cave and saw him. And what he did was he began to mock his dad's nakedness and mock his dad's folly. And so he went out to the cave and he was like, hey, you guys, Dad's in here drunk as a skunk. I'm paraphrasing. Drunk as a skunk is not in the Bible. He is tore out the frame. Y'all got to come see this. And his other 2 sons took a blanket and walked up to the entrance of the cave. And one put one of the corners of the blankets on the shoulder, and the other put the other blanket on the other corner. And it says they walked in backwards and covered their father's nakedness. That is what love does. That is what agape love does. because he couldn't change what he had done. It was already done. And so be very careful of who you're being transparent in front of, and make sure that it's an armor bearer and not a pallbearer. Make sure that it's a root person and not a leaf person before you expose your nakedness in front of them, so that you won't be mocked and it be used against you, but your nakedness will actually be covered and not for the dinner talk. Always trust. The trust is a hard thing, especially whenever you were raised in any kind of home where they were not trustworthy in. Some of the very first people in my life who should have been protecting me were the ones who were saying things with their mouth but doing things opposite with their actions. So I didn't trust for a long time. And so what I had to do was do what a pilot would do. When a pilot is turning his autopilot on, he is trusting the autopilot, right? He's trusting that the autopilot knows the instruments and knows the destination and knows where they're going. And so because I trust the Lord, I had to trust him for the people that he was bringing to my life, that he was adding to me, that I was going to trust them in their decision making. And so instead of me trusting people, I trusted the people that he brought to me. That's the difference. The third one, always hopes. Hope is one of the first things that I see on these ladies. It's the first thing that I see on y'all when y'all get it back. When you walk in and you're devastated from the life that you just walked out of, and you walk over that threshold, and you're beat down, and you get in and you get through the first week, and then you get through the second week, and I start seeing something, and the first thing is like a smile. The second thing is normally the posture changes a little bit from being like this, kind of more pulled back. And then there's something that happens in your eyes, and that's the hope is restored. And you begin to hope that things will be different, where before you had set your mind that nothing would ever be different. Hope is one of the most life-giving serums that you can ever give someone. That's why it says in Revelations, always be ready to give account of the hope that lies within you. Always be ready to tell somebody who's in that dark place like you once were the hope that is inside of you, because you are giving them a transfusion of life. It will blow your mind when you see it. And the last thing is this, is it always perseveres. When I think about perseverance, I think about a runner in a race. I don't like to run physically. I always wanted to be a runner. It looks very freeing, and it looks like it would be amazing after you got through with it. And there was a time I tried to be a runner. And it was about 3 years ago, and I started at the Poplarville track out there. And I'll never forget, I went where I knew nobody would be there. And so I had talked to my daughter, because she had been on track for about the track team for about 2 years, so she gave me the hints on what to do. So I got suited up, I got my tennis shoes on, got everything all ready, got my hat on, I was ready to go. I was going to be a runner. I was going to do this. I was pumping myself up, had my earbuds in, everything ready to go. So I get out there, and of course, what's the first thing we do, ladies, when we start exercising or doing anything? We look around to make sure there's nobody there. Right? Okay, I thought I was the only one that did that. And all I saw was this older man, probably in his 70s, 60s, 70s, and he was walking. I was like, I could do this. Okay, it'll be good. So I get out there, and I start walking, then I start kind of power walking, and then I start running. Well, I pass him up, and he just nods his head at me. And I'm like, I got this. Yeah, I'm running. I got this. Got my New Kids on the Block playing in my earbuds, hanging tough. Whoa, that was your cue for that, man. That was Ace's group back in the day. So I come around the second time. I'm still doing good. I'm starting to feel it though. And I feel like I've been out there for an hour. It's no lie. I'm like, oh, it's got to be an hour already. I look, it said 2 minutes, 38 seconds. I was like, gosh, what a time. But I was coming around that older man again. And I was like, okay, I cannot let him see. I cannot let him see that I can't do this. So I'm like, I'm still going. And I get right around the corner, and Amy told me, Amy said, Mom, that you may throw up the first time. I was like, girl, I ain't going to throw up. I'm going to be good. And she's like, I'm just telling you, it'll come out of nowhere. Just get ready. And I was like, no, I'm good. So I'm running. I nodded the guy. I'm still feeling good. Not as confident as I was. And sure enough, lost everything right there on the side of the thing. So as I'm there handling my business, I feel him come beside me. He's like, you all right there, young lady? You all right? You good? You need to get some water? No, I'm done. Needless to say, I took my earbuds out, went to the house, got me a Pop-Tart and a Coke, and I've been good ever since. I've been good ever since. So, hey, got to be happy with you. But perseverance is that runner. Because when I told Amy the story, she's like, Mom, then get back out there tomorrow. Get back out there the next day. Do 2 minutes today and then 4 minutes tomorrow and then 6 minutes. Because that's what she had done. And I can remember her having blisters on her feet and just all this stuff. And she was like, but that's conditioning me. That's training me for those races. There's going to be days you're going to throw up. Just because you have to breathe. There's going to be days you're going to be in so much pain that you don't even know how you're going to get through the next minute, let alone the day. But those are the days that it's just a survival day. Seems like this week we all had a lot of those. You persevere. And when all those things happen, when it protects you, when you trust, when it hopes, and when you persevere, it says love never. Underline that in your mind. Love never fails. Love covers everything. So when you see your past through love, everything changes. The game changes. That's not who I am. That's what I did. I can't change it, so I'm going this way.